Welcome back. The country's crime statistics are in. The Royal Bahamas Police Force on Grand Bahama has released its official report for 2012. This latest release made at a press conference in the Gerald Bartlett Police Headquarters this morning. It follows a similar presentation made by the police chief earlier this week in the nation's capital. Joan Davis-Rolle has that story.
In a comprehensive crime report issued by the Royal Bahamas Police Force, it reveals that crime statistics on Grand Bahama have fluctuated, some decreasing significantly while others experience an all-time high. In crimes against persons on Grand Bahama, murders moved from 9 in 2011 to 11 in 2012. Among the most staggering were 30 cases of unlawful sexual intercourse reported in 2012, 11 cases in 2011. 81 armed robberies in 2012 to 62 in 2011, an increase of 19. Grand Bahama led the country in the highest marijuana plant seizures with some 53,386. Assistant Commissioner of Police Emerick Seymour.
Dangerous drugs, particularly marijuana, cocaine. The Bahamas is not the final stop for them. It's a transit point where they are smuggled into the United States. The geographical makeup of the Bahamas, particularly the Grand Bahama, makes it difficult to police. Vigilance, 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 and that's what we will continue to do going forward. Because of the vigilance that we would have had in 2012, we would have uncovered several fields in the Eastern Division. Several fields, and I think the one that we would have uncovered is by far the largest in recent memory.
Drug bandits were not the only ones keeping the police on their toes. Seymour says the crimes using guns and the proliferation of firearms entering the country also a major concern.
We have 700 islands. People can get in and out of the Bahama Islands without being observed. Any little boat can come in. Any plane can land on a small little airstrip that is unoccupied, and it has happened. People were utilizing unique means, bringing them in tied boxes. So you see a big box of tied coming in the middle there's a firearm. Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen it in television. So people are utilizing all sorts of means and measures because, see, Joan, there's a market for it.
Another issue which won't go away are increased complaints of alleged police brutality.
Where an officer go afoul of the law, and of course they do from time to time, we deal with them. If it's a situation where he or she has to be put before the court, we do that because you see it all the time. We don't cover up anything because at the end of the day, the Royal Bahamas Police Force will look bad, and we don't want that.
Joan Davis-Rolle, ZNS Network News.
Police in the Eastern Division were out in full force last night, cracking down on motorists involved in various infractions. Officers were strategically stationed near the West Beach Bridge leading into Smith's Point. Officers stopped and searched scores of vehicles heading to the popular Wednesday night fish fry. Superintendent of Police and officer in charge of the Eastern Division, David DeVoe, says their efforts paid off.
We've had a number of ticketed persons for unlicensed vehicles, defective vehicles in terms of not being inspected. We've had cracked windshield and, of course, speeding. But what we are concerned is, see that it is the beginning of the year, to issue warnings to some persons. And, of course, we want everybody to be aware that we want 2013 to be a much better year than 2012.
Now, Superintendent DeVoe says the Eastern Division will remain vigilant in the fight against crime as they crack down on all infractions.
I should say to members of the public, particularly those persons who come to the fish fry, we want you to behave yourselves. We've had complaints in 2012 of vehicles being broken into. We've had stolen vehicles, and of course we will be up and about to ensure that we have a reduction in that regard. I also want to say to those persons who might wish to commit crime, I want you to respect other people's property and of course be more neighborly to each other and find ways to resolve their conflicts.
The Bahamas Telecommunications Corporation reeling from another incident of copper theft, this time at the Pelican Point site in East End. It is reported that sometime between Friday, December 21st and yesterday, January 9th, some unknown persons entered the south side of the Bahamas Telecommunications Corporation and stole 150 feet of black electrical ground wire. Police are actively investigating this matter and is asking anyone with any information that can assist to telephone 911 or 919. Any information given will be kept confidential. It's the harmony of the bands this weekend as the sweet sounds of music will fill the convention center of the Grand Lucayan Resort. It will be a show of musical talent among the 3 top bands in the country. This event is spearheaded by the Grand Bahamas section of the Bahamas Brass Band. Director Barry Morris says members of the brass band have devoted many hours to practicing for the big day.
It's going to be a phenomenal event for the community of Grand Bahama. The Bahama Brass Band celebrates 55 years of playing music in the Grand Bahama area. Certainly this event will not be what it is without the presence of the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Royal Bahamas Defence Force bands. And so for the first time in history, these 3 bands would congregate on one stage, and you will see a magnificent display of variations of musical talent and giftings.
Now, the harmony of the bands comes as the Bahamas Brass Band celebrates its 55th anniversary. Proceeds from the celebration will support a few youth-related programs in the country.
The event will help us to raise funds and awareness for the Autistic Foundation Reach for autistic children, of course the Grand Bahama Children's Home and the Oak Foundation. All of these institutions help to reach out to those who are disenfranchised in our community or those who labor with a particular illness, and the illnesses are gravely expensive to actually take care of. And so we're reaching out to the community and asking the community to help us to help those in need.
Tonight we have the story of a young woman who has faced tremendous odds, but she held on and has written a book outlining her challenges. She's hoping that others will learn from her experiences. Megan Shepard fills us in.
Prophetess and author Dina Rolle says she went through 7 years of trials and adversities, but it was all a part of God's plan. Rolle says she gave her life to the Lord in 2004 and began writing her book, Adversities and Triumphs, ever since. Her book features personal life challenges that began as far back as the age of 15.
During that particular time, I had an encounter with the devil himself. He showed up on my bed. He was laying prostrate on my body, and he had me pinned down to the bed, and he was about to kill me. And I remember seeing his eyes. His eyes was of a very red, deep red color. He came in a form of a beast, long black beast, and I remember his tail being very long. And I tried to get him off me, but I couldn't. But eventually, as I began to call on the Holy Spirit, I began to say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And finally, he was able to flee. But even though he fled off of me, apparently the spirit of, he deposited inside of me the spirit of suicide.
Rolle says since that incident, she has tried to take her life on several occasions. She says while she lived at Casa Bahama, she climbed to the 18th floor, was tempted to jump, but the Holy Spirit saved her life. Rolle says her life is a true testament that God can turn around any situation.
I am a survivor because you find so many people, they are experiencing so many different trials in their lives and they don't know how to overcome them. And the Lord has allowed me to write this book to give people hope, because he's still the God who is still in the miracle working business. And if God can do it for me, he can do it for anybody. You know, despite the adverse circumstances and the different trials that I was exposed to at a very early age, the Holy Spirit allowed me to be alive to this very day.
She says her book also includes stories from local Bahamians that have went through and overcome challenges. She says she wants her book to offer hope to those that may have given up hope in life or have doubts in the Lord.
What I want them to receive from this book is to let them know that adversity was not designed by God to harm us, to bring harm onto us, but it was to give us hope, to give us a greater future, to let us know that God, in the midst of everything, God is still there. Adversity was shaped in a way by God to build our character and to draw us closer to God. And so even though you might be in your darkest moment, God is still there in the midst of it.
Dina Rolle says she plans to continue writing books and is now preparing to get her master's in social work. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
To do it for us here in the North,
I'm Megan Shepard.
I'm Shasheena Rolle. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight continues right after this.